Hmm. Great, Shem. I did Junior. You're I'm all the way here. Shayla, here. Can you love your glasses? Thank you. Where am I? Here? Right here. Yes. For money. Thank you. Right. Job porting, washing, right. You're extra. Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's a broken room. We are going to get started. We are you can keep it. Pleased this evening to have with us representatives from First Service Residential. I'll allow them to introduce themselves when they begin their presentation. For First Service, I will be advancing your slides for you since I got them all set up here to be on Zoom and this television. Trust me, it's a precarious technical situation there. So just say next slide, and I'll be happy to move you along. So approximately 20 minutes, 25, it runs over. But as far as the presentation is concerned, we'll have the same amount of time for Q&A. And then after that, we'll take a short break while the audience goes back to their homes or wherever they're going. And just if you ask, we would ask that First Service just stay back for supplemental Q&A from the board after that. Okay, so without further ado, I'll hand it over to the folks from First Service, and I will be manning the technology. So over to you. Great. Well, let Jim start.
Sure. I'll begin. Thank you, everybody that's here in the room and on the owl on the camera here. So great. It looks like an owl. It's pretty cool. So we're honored to be here. We're honored to have been working with the board so far. And thank you for all of you attending. It's important that the residents are also very involved in the community. In many properties we manage, the most successful was when the owners, the board are all engaged. Of course, managers and management companies engaged. It's a three-way partnership. So. And that's what I'm here to convey to everybody today. And also, again, you're going to get, just as Tom said, 25 minutes of a lot of information. We'll condense it. There's a lot that goes on in managing a property like this. So we're going to give you the highlights, but we can drill in after as needed. So just let your board members know if you have any questions. My role is to uncover the needs of an association that is looking for maybe a management change and then bring in the right team. So that's my job. So I'll pass over to Ron.
Great, thank you. So my name is Ron Ruckner. I'm the Vice President of Mid-Atlantic High Rise. So what that means is I work with our teams, our regional directors, our portfolio managers, our site managers, and of course our boards here in the local area. I've been with First Service for about 6.5 years, originally from this area, but was in Philadelphia for a number of years and just returned a couple of years ago. It's great to be here. I do enjoy being in front of the residents. I have the fortunate opportunity to go on a lot of the sales calls, and you'd be surprised how many communities don't do this. I think this is only the third that I've seen in the last 2 years. So my compliments to everybody, to the board, to the residents. I certainly echo what Jim said. The communities that we find that have the most success are not only when the boards and the residents are engaged, but they're aligned, and that's really important. So absolutely happy to be here. And I'll turn it over to Shed.
Good evening. My name is Shayla Love. I'm a regional director with First Service Residential. My role is to take the vision that you've explained to Jim and partner with the board, your on-site team, and your portfolio manager and make sure that is carried out. And I'm excited to be here. This is our second time. You guys have a beautiful property. I just want to leave you with one thing is remember that this is your community and we're here to make your vision happen.
Nice. That's a tough one to follow. Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Stanton, the other Jim. I am the Vice President of Facility. So I'm your back of the house guy. I'm the guy that likes to look at your boiler, your chiller, your mechanical stuff, all of that, structural, anything engineering. That's my line of work. Been with First Service for, I think I just turned 15 like a month ago, I think.
You're 15 years old?
Wow. but I've been in the engineering field ever since high school. As soon as I got out, I went in the Navy as an engineer, went through their nuclear program, did 12 years there. When I got out, I came right into this. I tried being a property manager once. Well, I did it for a year. I didn't want to. I was still the VP of facilities, but it's a long story. But anyway, I realized that when equipment breaks down, I can figure out why. When people have a breakdown, I have no clue what they're thinking. So that only lasted a year, thank God. But yeah, it's good to be here. Good to see all these faces. Thank you.
Right, Tom? Yeah, thank you. Please. So we kind of went over this. So, but this is some of the people in here, excuse me, but this is the support team, part of the support team. And there's another chart you'll see in a moment, but I wanted to show this. So the bottom line is the first thing to read. You're not hiring one manager or a general manager when FirstService comes into a property. You're bringing on a team. Our whole approach is team and resources and support for the on-site team and the board and the owners. It's difficult. It's a lot of work to manage a property like this. And you've lived here, you know goes on. It's a tough job. And we've learned over the years that person doing that job needs help, needs support. So the support team that would be here is a portfolio manager, Shayla mentioned. Shayla as a regional director, to be announced a financial manager who aligned to our accounting team, very critical because we manage your finances too. So we have an expert to help your general manager and the board. Ron's very actively involved in properties like this. And Jim is something that's unique in this industry. You heard his comments about his knowledge of facilities. He's helped for the on-site facilities teams in our properties. Our president, who could not attend, he's out of town, Trent Harrison, realized many years ago now that we needed to have someone like Jim, and we needed a team to be experts of the engineering subject matter expert in engineering area. So he supports the manager. Issues come up, projects come up. He's there as a resource. And then, of course, we're supported by our accounting team, which is local, procurement, technology. We have an HR team that helps the training of the staff. So it's a whole organization that's built around the team. And you'll see another slide that'll kind of point this out in a moment. So thank you. A couple things. Why FirstService Residential? These are just some of the reasons. But one of the things we're proud of, 97.4 retention rate of our clients. That's associations like yours that we manage. There is turnover. You obviously are talking to other management companies. There might be turnover here. It happens. But we take great pride in keeping that number as close to 100 as possible. And how do we do that? By doing the right thing. Managing properties the right way, creating relationships, understanding the residents, the owners, and the board members. So that's something we strive for. One thing that happens with us is our employees, and you heard here we have the 15 years, and we have many employees with more. I'm at almost 6 years. Like working at FirstService because they have resources, they have help. You're not by yourself. Anybody's worked in a job. If you're alone, it's difficult. But if you have people you can count on to help, a team approach, and that's our model. The industry average, so that tenure is 7 years with us in the Mid-Atlantic. Mid-Atlantic is our area that we work for, a Mid-Atlantic company. The industry average in property management is 2.78 years. So as you can see, we're more than approaching, triple what the industry average is. We have a dedicated high-rise division. We realized high-rises are way different than HOAs, townhomes, condos. So Shayla, her whole team, high-rise. Ron's whole team, high-rise. Jim, high-rise. Some management companies don't do that. So you might have a portfolio manager or a regional director that has, mid-rises, market style communities. They don't have the years of experience in high-rise. It's a different animal. Luxury community experience, big thing we do. We have a lot of luxury properties. We understand white glove treatment. It doesn't have to be a luxury, but we deliver that type of service to all of our clients. And we're local. We're a local company, local president, local people, our accounting team's local, everybody's here, but we're also national. We're part of a large national company. We have national resources, which I know there's something coming up later, but I'll just mention it now. Where does that come into play? Insurance, best example. It's one of the highest expenses in your building. We have over 3,000 high rises in the United States. We have a FirstService Financial in New York who manages insurance, our investments, and loans. When there's an issue, when policies are coming up, your manager will go to FFI. They'll use that leverage and they'll get better rates, better terms for all three of those categories. It's not obligated. The board, you're not obligated to use us. There's no fee. You can continue using your brokers, but it's an option. So, but our leverage of the size helps. If we have a specific issue that we're struggling with, Shayla has counterparts well, like Florida that manage high rises, so she can reach out to them to get assistance. So we lean on we lean on our national resources, but we're a local based company. Tom, thank you. So this, I won't go through everything here because there's a lot, and this is day-to-day operations, resident services. That's you, everyone in this room or on the owl. Big part of managing is taking care of the residents. And if you have issues with your units, issues with your balances, questions you have, the operation management team local in the building provides resident service. Oversight of your vendors, your contractors, big part of managing. Big part. From landscaping to major projects, something we take pride in. Property inspections, making sure everything is good in the property, walking the building, making sure if there's lights out, cracks, whatever it might be, staying attention to the building. Staff leadership, huge component. That's Shayla's team, Ron's team. They provide guidance, cadence, visiting the building. Shayla, you would see periodically, pretty regular cadence, her portfolio manager once a week. If there's things going on, more frequent. Ron, I don't think you're ever home.
Nope.
So he's out. So we provide the oversight because again, they're here, alone, but they're not. We want to make sure we provide that and coaching too. Coaching. We're a big believer in improving our employees, being a bigger company in nature. We're a big believer in that. Project coordination, financial review, board support. Board's a tough job. There's some board members, some of you might have been on board. It's really high paid. Zero. It's a lot of work. It is. But our job is to take the load off the board. We're the property management company. We do this. And if there's issues that come up, we dive into it and we go to the board with some solutions and we explain to the board, let the board make the decision, but we do the heavy lifting on the work. Preventive maintenance, huge, big component of Jim. And in this building, I know it's a few years old. It could be 3 years old. You still need preventive maintenance. So one of the things Jim and his team does, if we're fortunate to get the contract, they come on site shortly after being awarded the contract, and they do a complete inspection of the building, thorough, up, down, inside, outside, looking at facade. And your facade's beautiful, but still looking at everything. Writing reports. The facade report probably be really nice because it's gorgeous. You did some beautiful work there, but there's things in the building that he will identify that need attention. And I'm going to take your words. He says he gives you the good, bad, and the ugly. And this document then becomes part of a Bible for our operational team to put together preventive maintenance schedules, compare to your reserve studies so we can see if we're in sync. But we take tremendous pride and put tremendous energy into building preventive schedules when we come into a building and then maintaining those. We have templates for our team to use to build these. So we have a lot of materials for the on-site team. Strategic planning, key. That's one of the things that, the board creates the vision from the owners. You meet, what do you want the hallmark to be in 10 years? So we work with you on that, shoulder to shoulder. There'll be a word coming up, but we view when we step in, it's a partnership. It's a partnership with the residents and the board. So we are involved shoulder to shoulder on strategic planning. Give you some ideas from other buildings that we manage that had a similar situation or had a view or a vision. This is a vision we saw here. It kind of reminds us of your building. So we work collaborative with the board and the residents. Thank you, Tom. Huge, and I won't go through all this, but this is really huge, and this is something I know your board is very interested in diving into. Complete financial transparency on our fees. Our fees are stated, of course, in a contract. If there's additional work needed, nothing's ever done without board approval. Everything is upfront on our fees. And the only thing that could be spent without the board's knowledge initially is an emergency, which makes sense.
And there's a cap on emergencies too. It's not, yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. She knows all the deeper details. Payroll costs are separately identified. Board approval for non-routine expenses, as I just mentioned. For the owners, multiple payment options for your dues, from checks to online. One thing we do, it might come up later. One thing we do if we're fortunate to partner, we come in and help. There's some help. We have like a meet and greet, coffee. If it's in the sometimes we do two, one in the evening because people have different schedules. That might be wine, coffee, donuts in the morning, wine and cheese at night. So pick the one you like. But we come in and help people set up their accounts. Getting online, whatever the easiest way for them to pay the dues. Experienced local accounting team. I emphasize local because they're here and it's important to your treasurer. The accountants assigned are here in Fairfax, so they can meet. A lot of our boards or treasurers will go into Fairfax, have sit down, at least initially, one thing set up. So we have that, and that's not the case in this industry. In most cases, I think in this market, I think we might be the only one. If there might be another, but there's not many. Most of them outsource that. Ours are local. Monthly financial statements on time to the board and also to the owners. And the board receives a little bit more detailed information, but the owners receive complete information on the finances. It's your money. Thank you. Transition. This is key. We take a great pride in doing transitions thoroughly. We have a team. We have 3 or 4 dedicated ladies that do our transition work. But they also, if we were fortunate to onboard the operational team, Shayla would be involved, or our local accounting team. But we have these 3 or 4 ladies that do all the coordination. They are, Gantt chart charts, spreadsheets, just make sure everything is set up correctly. Letters go out to the owners saying hello, who we are. Then another letter follows up with directions on how you can set up your accounts. And then again, we'll be on site too if you need help. All this is set up. Vendors, we have to reach out to the vendors, get them set up for they're going to be paying us, so we make sure that's we're paying them. Excuse me. It'd be great if the vendors paid you. If we can make that happen. Resident communications technology. I said that already. So thank you. Thanks, Tom. So why? But we're a people company. We don't build anything. We deliver service. We've been in this business now for over 40 years. We're the leader locally in high rises. We're the leader nationally in high rise management and other styles of properties too. So we have tremendous experience in high rise in this area in the country, as I just said. Our teams if we're fortunate to partner, your team is all high rise. Shayla's, you've been high rise
For a long time.
Ron, you've all been
I've
high
done
rise.
high rise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And I've done big high rises, like 37-story high rises. So that's all I've done since I've been with FirstService Residential high rise. I love the high rise because of the complexities and the dynamics. We love our HOAs and we love our lifestyle communities, and they're amazing. But there's no better place than a high rise, and really getting to understand the dynamics and the personality of the community.
Yeah.
I love the view.
I was going to say that.
Transparency, the data and information is yours. So everything's transparent. Our portal systems everything's available for the owners to see, for the board. I've shared with the board when we met, work orders, what we're doing to resolve issues. All that data is open to the board. I say this, they don't need to, but they can look over the shoulder of the manager and the operation team because they have all the access. Technology, we're a leader in this, but we still provide one-on-one service. I mean, we still will deliver a notice under a door if that's what's needed for that resident to let them know that the elevator is down that day or whatever it might be. But we have IT team, our application, our portal is excellent, very user friendly, available on your phone, on your computer, where you make your payments, where you submit a work order if you have an issue in your unit, all real simplistic. We use AI technology. One of the things we have, for people always ask, very common question, when our manager's not here, what do we do? Well, we have a 24/7 hotline that's manned by people, so it's not robotic. And it's our people, FirstService. When you call, there's a triage, leak, you hit emergency and it goes off and they pick up immediately. If it's not, then it goes a different way. But the person comes in, answer the questions. They have the same access as your manager does to the entire building system, so they can answer questions. I don't know if you have a code to get into your pool, but let's say if you did, I forgot the code for the pool. Boom. Oh, Mr. Smith, it's 231. So all people. So technology is that way. We also have AI. So we have AI capability. We have a HODA, which is our AI. Everybody has cute little names. What does HODA stand for?
Homeowner
Digital
digital
assistant.
assistant.
Yeah.
Well, and let me just jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I love the technology, and Shayla could probably talk about technology for an hour because she's amazing at it. I think we do an amazing job with our technology, and the AI integrations are great. But as much as a high tech industry and a company that we are also very high touch. And in an environment like this, where you have a large demographic of residents from all different backgrounds, ages, that high touch is where we really layer in to make sure that we're providing that level of service that the person who doesn't have a computer, that person that doesn't have an iPad, can still, yeah. If I kind of digress for a second, we talk about the coffee and donuts. I love coming to the associations on day one when we start a new property, and we're always there. Been to a bunch with Shayla. We all bring our laptops and we take time. People come down and we set them up. We get them set up in the portal. We get them set up for ClickPay if they so choose to utilize that for payment. Because again, in this environment, there are many people that don't have that access and they don't want it. And so we recognize it. All the high rises that we work with, they have a list on hand of who doesn't even have emails. And so when there is important information, we hand deliver. And I know when I was the site manager, I think of, I was at a big building, but I think we had like 35 people that didn't have emails. So anytime important stuff went out, right, we printed it off and we gave it to the Porter team and they would deliver. So, it aligns with, the white glove service, it aligns with the ability that this is a people business, as Jim said earlier. And none of our team loses sight of that because everything we do has a human element to it, whether that's coaching and counseling one of our associates or having a conversation with a resident because they can't figure out how to pay their bill, or the check got lost in the mail and they received a late fee, right? There's a level of empathy and compassion that we want to exercise with everything we do with all of our contacts, so that those experiences are a little bit more transformational and not transactional.
Thank you, Ron. Advocacy, I'll just go through quickly for going on timing, but advocacy, we're advocates to each owner and the board for any issues in the community. There's sometimes governmental issues. So we're very involved in those and bringing that information to the board. The partnership, we live here too. Hopefully you've seen that just in the 20 minutes. If we're awarded the contract, we take this as a home. Accountability is really critical. One of our core values as a company, and we have these core values each employee follows, is own it. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Shayla, we're all not perfect. You make a mistake, own it, fix it, and communicate. Next thing. All right.
Good job.
My name's Barbara. Mile to so I think that it's really important to identify how
Exactly. We're getting feedback.
Mute, yeah, turn off your speaker on the,
Turn your volume down.
yeah, don't worry.
Turn this.
Perfect.
Hello?
Yeah.
It's on. Okay. So the way that we select your on-site manager, it is actually not a quick process. When we first bring a community on, the person that's sitting in the seat is a transition manager. They're there so that I can figure out what type of community is this? What do you need? Who do we need to bring in? They are also working with the residents to get everyone switched over. They are going through files. We're getting organized. And within 30 days, we are looking for, okay, this is the manager that we need. In order for a manager to get in front of the board, because the final decision is rest with the board, we try to give them three options. Sometimes it's two. The options that we're providing the board have all been vetted by our recruiting team. They've gone through a panel interview with our team, and they've come on site because I make them come on site to see what they're walking into, because you never know. This is not an easy industry at all. So it's important that they understand what they're getting themselves into. We have checks regularly. I am on site every week at multiple properties. I could tell you what's going on at every property that I have under my purview right now, because we are that hands-on for everybody. It's important so that we don't have a manager that just decides to stop coming to work or lies to the board. There will be no way for that to happen because we're all involved.
how did that happen then?
I'm not sure.
Add on, I did a stint at FirstService back in like 2018, 2019 on the team that supported the community. No, 14th floor. And when I was there supporting the community managers, each community manager had like a minimum of 10 communities, and they seemed pretty overworked. So to add on to those concerns of just quick quitting and overtime, I'm curious how that has changed and how the community managers are supporting out.
I'll take that.
Do you want me? Okay.
You want to start and I'll pick up?
Because like we haven't addressed like.
Yeah.
Certification.
Yes.
Certification.
So yeah, we will get to your question. Required certifications, is there a requirement to become a manager? No, there's not. However, it is important that our managers have designations. So for a community like this, if I don't see that you have your CMCA or AMS, I would rather you have both. I'm probably not looking to you as a candidate because I need somebody that has experience. I have all of my designations, so it's important for them to have that education behind them to manage a size like this. If we, I just wouldn't put anybody in front of the board that doesn't have designations for a community like this. That would not be a good idea. As far as our trainings go, all of our managers are required to do a certain hour of training through our own FirstService university that we have that has anywhere from safety to how to run a board meeting to how to understand financials to maintenance issues, anything under the sun, it's there, and they have a whole curriculum that they have to follow. If you don't complete it at the end of the year when it's time to talk about raises, I can't even give you one because the system will block you until you finish those required trainings. The last part of your question was how many clients have we lost?
Some of the most recent ones that you've lost and what the average tenure is for the property manager.
Well, I mean, I think the 97.2% answers that question. I mean, we're not perfect and no management company is perfect. So we're gonna have some turnover. I will tell you, most of our communities have been with us for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. We don't lose communities that often. Our retention is solid. We really focus on our relationship plan, and that's why, you have the people that are sitting here in front of you that, touch base with the communities, have on-site visits with their managers, develop a good cadence. I myself is included. On today's Thursday, I honestly don't even know how many properties I've been to this week. I mean, probably 7 or 8. And that's not counting the 2 sales calls that we were on. So we're all actively involved. But we do lose communities. I mean, I think it'd be naive to suggest that we don't. Going back to what Jim said about the core value of owning it, if we have a community by which we're struggling, we do go in there and recognize and understand why we're having issues. And our goal is obviously to retain it, fix it, and move on. Sometimes, if there's an issue and we own it, it might even cost us a little bit of money. But the fact of the matter is, you've got a good team. To answer your question, in 2018 or 19, it's a very different time, I'm sure, for FirstService Residential and certainly in this market. Shayla's been with us for a number of years. I've been in this market for 2.5 years. So we both have a very different approach on how we manage our team. I will tell you, I look at our portfolios almost on a daily basis with respect to how many community managers or portfolio managers have, how many communities our regional directors have. We don't have any portfolio managers that have 10. Most of them have that 5 to 7 range. We have one, I think, that has 9, but a couple of them are like master associations, so you technically have to count them, but they're very light lifts. More importantly, I don't look at the number of communities, I look at the number of units because that's the driving factor. This is a big community, so it's not like a portfolio manager is going to have 6 of these, because 6 of these is very different than having 1 of these and 3 smaller ones. So we look at that because we do want to focus on our team members having the ability to do what we're telling you that we can do. And in the last year, we've hired 3 new executives we've hired a portfolio manager, we've hired 2 regional directors to support our team. Because for me, I want to make sure that, again, our team members can service the community by which we're obligated to, and what we like to do. And that's important.
I add to that, as my role is talking to boards that are looking for a new manager. I can tell you there's a lot of properties that we don't bid on because we won't overload our staff, because what happens, service levels go down and the staff burns out, to your point. So again, I wasn't with the company then, but I hear in the executive meetings, we do not want to overwhelm our portfolio managers because it's failure. And to your point, they can't watch their managers as close, and stuff like you pointed out could happen. So our leadership with Ron a couple of years, and Shayla and Trent have designed. They don't want that happening. So I write a lot of letters to board members saying, thank you for reaching out. We don't have the bandwidth or resources to provide a proposal.
Well, I think too, sorry, I think the other thing, you tend to hear more about the crashes than you do the landings. And, the number of communities you hear, right? You hear that, oh, someone sends a Google review and gives us a 1 because they paid their bill late and it's our fault, right? That's the type of stuff that happens in this industry. I can tell you, we don't talk about our other communities, but off the record, I can tell you the ones that we do lose, sometimes they're our fault and sometimes they're not. And the ones that are not our fault, we don't throw them under the bus. But it's just a reality. Sometimes you have changes in boards. You have boards that perhaps don't quite understand how to manage an association. And so for us, we partner and we want our boards to really listen, because we want to give them the best guidance. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately the board decision to make the decision on behalf of all the owners. And sometimes that goes against the counsel that we provide, or even the counsel that the attorney provides. So,
And it's a partnership.
Yeah.
So while the employees may be leaving these sites, they're not leaving FirstService. So we are taking them from another site that they no longer want to be at because of whatever reason, and we're moving them around. They're still within FirstService. So it's important to know that, because a lot of boards or residents may not always understand this is not, like, I will continuously say, this is not an easy industry. It is not. We are helping you all, working with you all. Our job is to work in the most intimate part of your lives, where you guys are the realest you can be, where you live. And so having to show up in some of those emotional heightened situations, that can weigh on a person sometimes, and they may need to they may need to change locations or get a fresh new scenery, because they're not a bad manager. It's just, maybe we need to give them a property with a little less going on for right now.
I have a few people in queue. It's gonna be Susan, and then Cheryl, and then Hank. Cheryl, correct?
Yes,
Okay, there. One, two, three.
Susan Thompson, Unit 1503. How many people do you anticipate having on site here? It sounds like you're just talking one. Keep talking about an on-site manager, and we have been used to at least two. And frankly, sometimes some of the companies we thought we needed three.
Well, for a community this size, you would certainly need a general manager and an assistant general manager. This is my first visit, so the information that I have about the community is just from the team. But we would work with the board on what and make staffing level requests. Because for us, we want to make sure that you have the right amount of people. And if that number's three, then that's even better, because that's more services that we're going to be able to provide to the community. But that's also predicated on your budget constraints, right? Some communities, right? And I will tell you, I'll expand on what Jim said. We have a community that we're talking to, and they're a large community. They're not much smaller than this, and they think they can manage it with just a portfolio manager. So we denied giving them a quote, because it's not how that community will not be successful. And they haven't been successful in that, and they recognize that. So for us, I'm not going to put ourselves in that position to fail, because the budgetary constraints, which they have the budget for it, they just don't want to incur that cost. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, if the number's three, if the number's five, here's the thing. In this environment, you could put 10 people in that office, and they're all going to be busy every day.
How do you treat building engineering issues though? I mean, because we're just used to, I'm not saying this is good or bad, but we're used to having a general manager that manages the office and a building engineer who's the contact for, oh, there's a light broken up here, or, there's a leak in the ceiling, or, whatever.
I would like to see, I can take this.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to see an engineer and an assistant here,
Mhm.
to run this property, at least two.
Yeah, but that's
he's
also
not
predicated
talking
too on what, and if any, in-unit service programs you have. What are the service levels that the community expects and what's budgeted?
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Because if you're
budgeted.
not doing any in-unit service, then you might be able to get away with just a chief engineer. For building this size, I 100% agree with Jim, but everything is really predicated on service levels. So.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add, because this question has come up a couple of times, so I just want to make sure that it's clear that the management company does not determine
Right.
how many people are here. That's determined by how many people we can afford to be here.
Correct.
And so, I mean, so, if they're saying three and we've had two, then that would be, any above and beyond that would be, straight into the budget. So I just want to make sure that's clear that they execute on what the board would decide in that regard.
So that's we shared the RFP. You'll see in the RFP, we asked for what we have today.
Yeah.
That was the entry. So what we do today is our expectation of doing it tomorrow, but it leaves them open to make us recommendations.
Yeah, and if
I was just curious, based upon their discussion, which I assume were kind of standardized just based upon number of units, number of floors. I just wondered what they were thinking
Yeah.
in general at the very beginning.
That's what,
We're just flirting right now, but we're not there.
yeah, and that's what, if we're fortunate to continue the process, then we start working with the board, chatting more, understanding the budget. But yeah, at this point, general ideas, you're right, 500 units, it probably needs more than 220. So of staff, but yes.
Cheryl was next and then Tank and then do Donald.
Okay,
And
thank you.
John in the back. And there's a gentleman I can't see in the back. So who was raising your hand? Okay, there you go.
Cheryl Heigl, apartment 206. So let's say we have two people. An engineer and an office manager. I hope it's more than that. Then in addition to them, all of you all and your teams on the back end supporting them, is it contractually written down how many times
Yes.
per month they would be
Absolutely.
required to be here on site helping,
Yes,
not just as needed?
absolutely. And we are very strict about that. I expect my portfolio managers to be on site. I pop up to see who's around, who's on time, what's going on. Because that is a level of service that is standard. That's the minimum. You need to be here.
And I think also for clarity, the on-site team is the on-site team. So they're here every day.
No working from home.
Yeah, they don't,
none of that.
it's an on-site position. Now, if on occasion and it's coordinated with the board because of X, Y, or Z, but that's not an industry standard or something that we allow our general manager to do. Because it's too big of a community. And like Shayla said, she pops in, I pop in unannounced, I call presidents. I have touch base, right? Because I want to understand what's going on in the community, make sure that we're delivering on our service levels. We're gonna go to Hank. And then yes.
And anyway, I have a question regarding, we didn't hear a lot about the tools that you have that are available for communicating to the owners or residents in the building, and for how from owners and residents who communicate to you that there are issues that need to be addressed. Could somebody talk?
Absolutely. So FirstService has a platform called Connect, which would be your resident portal. And in that portal, there's a resident side, there's a management side. On the management side, we can send out email blasts, we can send out text messages if there's an emergency, I can send a letter if I need to. And that is how we handle communications. Also, they have their email, but I encourage our team to go through Connect because it's documented. I can see that an email was sent. I can see that you opened the email or it got rejected or that there's something wrong with your email address. And it's vice versa. You can go through Connect. You can submit a work order if you have an issue within the building or a maintenance problem. You can put it through Connect. If you are emailing because you have a personal issue, you can just send an email to your manager through regular email chain of email.
Is this a homegrown system or is it something that is that you use that other associations use as well?
It's home. It's only FirstService. If you're in FirstService, it is a FirstService platform.
And where's the data kept that's generated? Is it cloud-based?
It's all cloud-based, right?
cloud-based.
It's a proprietary system. We have multiple areas in the country. So if there was a natural disaster in one area, all the information's backed up.
How are you gonna set that up for the folks that don't have email or computers or cell phones?
That's where our meet and greet comes into play. When we come in and we send out communications over and over, hey, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, come down, we're gonna be there. We set it up for you. We know that, okay, unit 505, they need a letter. In our system, if I am in my system right now and I write, hey, hi community, there's a fire. Or there's a leak. Let me not do something so extreme. There's a leak going on and we have to shut the water off. I can see how many people are going to get my email. I can see how many people are going to get my letter and who I need to send each to. The system tells you that because we're putting that in. That's why the first 30, 60, 90 days of transition are so important. And we're talking to residents. We're asking you to come down. We're on site helping people get registered to make sure those communication gaps are filled.
All right, we have Tim and then Donna, then someone online. So Tim.
I wanted to ask a question about emergencies and how do you measure property management people who you got put on site and their performance? How would you measure that? How do you guys go through the process of measuring that, to ensure that they are providing the service that you guys put out to us? That's help fixing, vehicle emergencies, so I want your keys out, and help and things like that. How do you take me through the process of that?
So the emergency system is set up when we first start. We have a chain. So if you have an on-site manager, they may be your first call. If you have a building engineer, they may be the first call between the two. After that, everyone is in line. Ron is in line, I'm in line, Jim may be in line depending on the property. And if I get an emergency call, there's a problem because there's too many people in front of me that should have picked up that phone and figured and resolved that issue before it got to me. It will not get to Ron unless I've been hit by a bus. But if it gets to me, there's a problem. So after we've resolved that emergency, I'm on site the next day of what happened, what was the breakdown, why didn't you answer the call? If you were going to be out, there's a way to handle that. In our call center, we can leave notes for them that may say, the manager is going to be out for a week, directly go to Shayla, or directly go to the portfolio manager, or we already know that there's an emergency of the water's not working on the left side of the building. We've received 2 emergency calls. I can go in and let the call center know, hey, this is something we've already handled. We're on it. This is the message I want you to start giving people. If we have an issue, we have no problem with corrective actions. This is not the industry where you can just keep getting chance after chance after chance, because some emergencies are life-threatening and we need to make sure that we are attending to it. So it's not something we take lightly. We're on top of it. I can see every time there's an emergency at your property, whether it gets to me or not, I get a report to see what happened, who answered, how long, if they had to leave a voicemail and how long it took to call back. I can see all of that.
And I would just also add too, and I think this will further answer your question. So we're going to take whatever your current emergency procedures are in place, and we're going to obviously implement that into our system.
Yes.
So that we're all on the same page. But that and almost really every other policy, I mean, we're going to look at and likely we're going to make some suggestions on how to revise. I mean, if it's a front desk manual, we're going to revise that. But something big like that, we'll go through. The Shell and the team will lean on our peers because the building down the street may have a really, really strong emergency preparedness plan or emergency action plan. So we're not going to recreate the wheel, but we're going to use bits of that and take what you have and make it better, which is one of our core values, is improve it.
All right, we're gonna do Donna online, and then we're gonna close out with Jed because we're coming to one time. So Donna online, Jed close.
How many units do you have in this, I'd say the west end of Alexandria currently? How familiar are we with the state of it? I asked very specifically for the next 2 years here, this part of Alexandria is going to change radically because we have the largest hospital, the only level 2 hospital emergency unit in Northern Virginia that's opening up 3 blocks from here. And this whole area is going to change radically.
Yeah, I think we within a couple of miles probably have 10 properties, maybe more.
Yeah.
In Alexandria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact number, but we have a between Northern Virginia, DC, and Maryland, we've got a pretty strong number. So
Because Alexandria tends to be rather insular.
Yeah.
And so you're going to need to move the city well because of what's coming at us right now. And the other thing that we've got to be aware of, and I would like to hear some comments on this, is the helicopter traffic is going to change radically. And we already have some around here, but it tends to go west of us here. When that's an emergency landing zone, it's not going to go west of us. It's going to be on top of us.
I mean,
Well,
that's the question.
the question is, are you where? Are you?
So you guys can't be flying.
we're gonna implement a no-fly zone. That's what we're gonna do.
The presidential helicopter
Yeah.
needs a place.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the roof is available or
So that I
I think
did
what
have
we
something
do is
about
take some of the land and put a landing pad, and then we can monetize that for the association and start charging for landings and takeoffs.
No one told nothing to play tennis, so go ahead. All right, so I'm gonna add to.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, one of the things that we do is there are definitely laws and restrictions in the area, and we said on the slide, it was advocate to community issues. That's a big one. So yeah, once we get that information, then we would disseminate it to the residents. But in Alexandria does have some specifics like parking issues, so we have to be aware of those. And we are, because we have other buildings in the area.
I know, the meters across the street with every station.
Oh,
Very nice.
okay.
Well, where
All right, yeah,
Online?
yeah, I'm gonna take an online question, which is, what about when the on-site manager has a scheduled or unscheduled absence? Are there backfill procedures, and if so, what are they?
So it would, one, depend on your management agreement. But most of the time, we would just have a conversation with the board. If a manager is taking a vacation, they have to provide us 30 days notice of that so that we can plan. If it's unscheduled, we have floating managers, you have me, you have your portfolio manager. We're gonna stop by, be here. If there is a need for us to be here all day to cover that shift, that's a conversation we have with the board. But we would be dropping by to make sure everything's okay and everything is still flowing.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, you've got multiple portfolio managers, and it's not uncommon for the team to go on site. I can do as much work, here as I can in the office. And when there's opportunities like that, I mean, I even go on site when the general manager is on vacation. I take advantage of it, and I coordinate with the board, and I take them out to lunch. So.
There you go. I think that's it. Jed, we'll have the final question.
Jed Carr, 408. I'm already familiar with FirstService through your Florida organization, and having gone through this process a number of times through our Florida community, can you speak to the timeline on the transition of the contract and lessons learned that you have experienced that you might be able to provide to us to quote, believe anybody's anxiety with the community having spent so many years with the same company to go through this transition?
Absolutely. Are you ready to?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I think all three of us want to jump in on this one.
Transitions are very, very difficult. The lessons that have been learned, number one is communication. Getting the communication out to the community as early as we possibly can to say, hi, this is who we are. Take us out of spam because our emails are probably going into your junk. And our team sends out a letter as well so that you all are aware, hey, check your email because we sent you something. After that, at the end of transition, I send an apology because we kill your inboxes with information of, hi, we're 30 days out, we're 60 days out, we're providing you information on, you need to stop if you have ACH with your current company. They may or may not stop it for you. If it's through your bank, make sure you're talking to your bank so your funds don't get switched over. I would say the number one lesson is communication, overly communicating. Number two would be getting on site as early as we can to see the lay of the land, see what we need to do, see what may be lacking. Communicating with the vendors. One thing that we've done in the last 6 months that I think has worked beautifully is sending an email communication to all the vendors 60 days out, 30 days out, depending on how long we have for transition. That just says, hey, we're FirstService. We have a vendor verification program they have to go through. So we give them that access to go ahead and start that now. And we say, are there any outstanding invoices that we need to know about? Now is your time to say, we're starting. We want to make sure you're getting paid. Please give that information to us as soon as possible. The other side to it, I think, would be your utilities that we have a designated person in office now that handles the utilities, getting those up and running, getting all that switched over. So we don't want any lag. What we've seen in the past is it may take a little longer than we expected. And then we have issues with making it happen to hurry up and get money, hurry up and get payments paid. We don't want that. So getting all that done at least 30 to 60 days beforehand is, I think, a huge lesson that we've learned.
I've been in a building and on day 10, all the power goes out because the former managing agent stopped paying the bills.
Yep.
But
You didn't address was the accounting data to ensure that owner accounts.
well, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What you didn't mention was the transition of the accounting data from the.
Yeah, so I was actually gonna to touch base on that. So a big part of the success is as soon as we are fortunate to partner with the association, right? We start our transition team, as Jim alluded earlier, it's 3 or 4 individuals that grows to about a dozen. And it grows because we layer in our accounts payable and the operations team, the accounts receivable team, financial manager, everybody's a cash management team. We involve everybody to ensure that the transition is smooth. But that doesn't start until we go after the managing agent, start downloading all of that information. The one key piece that starts it all in motion is when we get the property unit listing. Right? We can't start communicating with the community until we have that data. So as soon as we get that data, then we upload that data in our system, and then we can start sending emails. And that's why it's so important. And Sheila referenced it twice, right? That 30, 60, 90 post start, right? One of the most important documents that we want our residents to fill out is what's called a census form. Because our information is predicated on the information we're receiving from the prior managing agent. So if there's an email address that's incorrect in that, if there's a phone number that's incorrect in that, we can send out 100 emails, you're not going to get it. So we want that census form back so that we know, hey, who's in the building? Right. Oftentimes I see the biggest one I see all the time is data comes over and there's a renter in there and there's no renter in there. So there's the owner name and then there's a renter and there's no renter in there and it's been in there for years. It's never been audited or updated. Right. So we want to know that because we want to know who's in the building. We also want to track who the renters are because we want to know what the percentage of renters are for the building because that has implications from an insurance standpoint, from Fannie and Freddie Mae, from resale standpoint. So there's a lot of mitigating factors there that we want to cover. But it starts with that PUL, and then we download all the information. Now, we're all professionals, right? If we lose a community or another managing agent uses a community, we have a fiduciary responsibility to get that information to the new managing agent quickly. On occasion, we do have to get attorneys involved. When that happens, then that process slows up and it halts the transition team because we can't start communication. I've had communities where I've had the board send us the property unit listing from maybe a list that's a year or 2 old, but we use it and then we revise it. So at least we can start the communication. And then key is we can, in worst case scenario, we can snail mail. We do snail mail the one big package out of the gate on top of all the emails that the team sends out that has the statement and the newsletter, tells you how to get logged in. And then again, we'll utilize that on day 1 and beyond to get people registered. So that transition, I mean, you think of it like a rocket ship, right? The takeoff is the most important part because if the takeoff doesn't go well, the rest of the voyage is going to be jeopardized. And that's how we look at it because the transitions are very important for us.
All right, thank you, and thank you everybody for your questions. We're going to stop questions. If you have additional questions, you can obviously send them by email. I'll make sure they get to the appropriate place. Please do look out tonight. It's actually preloaded. I'm getting better at this, folks. It's preloaded to go out at 9:30, which is a written survey. To rank the presentation on a few different.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So please look out for that. About 9:30. We're gonna have the residents depart. If you guys can stretch your legs for 2 minutes while we do that. And thank you. And then the board will reconvene and we'll just have a little Q&A or follow-ups or whatever, whether you will.
Sorry, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Is the terms of not? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.